the mayor of Greenville, a visionary among us, Knox White. Glad to have you with us.
Governor McMaster doesn't want to be outdone by Phil Hughes, so he's promising $1,000 to everybody here. Everybody's a winner. I've never seen that done before, Phil. That's really, gonna keep expanding that envelope a little bit. A couple things, really inspiration to be here. Thank you to Michelin for their gift to Unity Park and the announcement today for Greenlink. That was just an extraordinary announcement. We appreciate that very, very much. And all the inspiration that comes from this room, it's really, really an inspiration. Well, speaking of inspiration, so about 10 years ago, Upstate Alliance, Mr. Hal Johnson, takes me to China, to Shanghai, and we go into a conference, if you can picture this, a gargantuan-sized room, thousands of people there. They had a screen that was the size of an IMAX theater, and the topic was areas of the world that are the next places to look at, where the growth is happening. And they dimmed the lights, and we're kind of stuck in the back of the room, huge IMAX, over 1,000, mostly Chinese people, all over the world really. And we didn't really know what we were getting ready to see. The screen comes on, it's enormous, and it's the planet Earth at night. And if you've seen those pictures before, you understand, you see the lights of where the activity's happening, and you know, famously North Korea is black, you know, most of some of Africa is. Then you see where the lights are shining, and they have the globe literally churning, and it started out on Shanghai and Beijing, and you saw the huge massive lights in that part of the world, the economic activity. And then, no kidding, they hit a button, it's like, woof, the earth turned around, and it was North America. And instantly they said, now you'll see the Boston, New York zone, and Dallas, Fort Worth. And no kidding, they tilted a little bit more, and they focused, Hal and I are back in the back room, they focused on the I-85 corridor. They said another great growth place to watch is the Interstate 85 from Atlanta. They missed us, but they said Atlanta, Charlotte, to Raleigh. And there it was, on the screen, all illuminated at night in a dramatic way, and kind of surrounded by other things. And we were pretty stunned. Of course, you wanted to stand up and go, hey, that's us, middle of this room. But nothing brought home more to me, just from a world perspective, of what's going on in the upstate of South Carolina, in this incredible, larger region that we live in, our territory, and how it's being recognized, not just nationally, but on the world stage as well. We saw it in real time in Shanghai, China. Well, nobody likes more to brag about South Carolina than our governor. And I would say that one of the most important roles of a governor is to love his state. Not to be heading up to New Hampshire or someplace like that, but being part of what we're doing and understanding this and getting around and knowing the people, really feeling the sense, the pulse of the community. And that's what Henry McMaster's done for a long time. He loves South Carolina with a passion. The coastal area, of course, he's got to love us all. And he does. But we're so happy to have him up here, and his admiration for what's been accomplished in the upstate of South Carolina for generations is unmatched. And this organization, TATT to the Top, speaking to values of convening and collaborating, bringing people together, that sounds a lot like our governor and the manner in which he's approached his job, his relationship with the legislature. That's Henry McMaster. So it's a great honor to present to us all the governor of South Carolina, Henry McMaster.
Y'all saw me run up. Knox had some notes scribbled on that piece of yellow paper. One time I was asked to make a 2-minute speech somewhere, and as I walked up to the front, somebody introduced the next thing was going to be a short prayer. And it's hard to give a funny talk in 2 minutes, but that's what I had to do. And I got there and thought, boy, I'm glad I wrote this out. And I reached in my pocket and took a look at my notes, and I brought the wrong piece of paper with me. It is awful when you get up and you lose your notes. So I took care of it there, Knox, and I appreciate it. But y'all, there've been so many things said that I was going to say, but have already been said, and I'm glad to hear them. And that's the words communicate, collaborate, and cooperate. Everywhere I've been in various jobs and practicing law as well, that's the key to these things. it's the key to what our accomplishments. When I was in the U.S. Attorney's Office, that's when I first learned about it. Same thing in the Attorney General's office, and boy, I tell you, in economic growth and development, that is the answer. Somebody hand me that. Just looking at this list, and earlier it was the names of Milliken, Mickle, and Daniel were mentioned. Those were important names. But if everybody on this list will just communicate, collaborate, and cooperate, then there's not another place in the whole world that can do better than this one. In South Carolina, Knox, as you said, right in the middle of it. One reason is because everybody knows everybody. Everybody's related to everybody, usually, but everybody knows everybody. And there's a cute little, I love little cute stories. Here's one about that. Is at one of the big churches, and the service was over, and the young fellow had been doing the ushering, and he was helping the people, particularly the elderly ladies, down the front steps. And this lady was coming in, but it's a big congregation, most of them were gone, he's getting tired, she's coming down, he helped her, grabbed her arm, and as he was helping her down, he said, "Ma'am, I just got to say, that's about the worst sermon I think I ever heard." She said, "Son, do you know who I am?" He said, "No, I don't." She said, "Well, I'm the preacher's mother." He said, "Well, do you know who I am?" She said, "No, I don't." He said, "Well, thank you, Jesus." But everybody around here knows everybody. What Knox was saying is right. Knox, that was 10 years ago. Well, that is coming true, and it's the southern states. We had a meeting in, I think we had one here a couple of years ago of Japanese businesses. I think about 160 Japanese businesses in South Carolina. And I went to one recently somewhere else, and it's the same thing. It's the 7 southern states is where all the action is. North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, did I leave out one? Mississippi. That's where all the action is. And coincidentally, that's where the sun shines. That's where there's no, anybody ain't gonna retire and go to the frigid north? Of course not. If you look at the map of the world businesses have figured out that this is the place, and you can see proof of that by seeing these businesses, world businesses, that are coming to South Carolina to hire South Carolinians that could go anywhere in the whole world. They got no family in the graveyard here. They go wherever they want to go, and they come into South Carolina. But if you take a good look, you will see that they're not going up north. It's too cold. In fact, if you go back, I'll give you everybody a little hint. Go Google up some of the big northern cities and see what's happened to the population between 1950 and say 1918. 2018 and 1950. I think Detroit's about half empty right now. It's too cold. Unions have killed them. There are too many regulations. Taxes are too high. And they've gone from something like 1.2 million to about 685,000 during that period of time. And Minneapolis, or it was Cleveland, Ohio, during that period of time. Beautiful city. Beautiful buildings downtown. You love them. Look like the beautiful buildings here. So there's more of them. And there they had, in 1950, had about 900 and something thousand people. And now there's something like 385,000. They're just not growing. Taxes, unions, depression on wages, regulations is killing them. But we're not doing that here. We haven't done it here. We're not going to do it here. But up north it's too cold. You go out west, every now and then they go crazy out there. What they do, you come to the big middle, and there's nothing in the big middle. So that only leaves this 7 sunny states where we live. So we've really do have great opportunity. So that's why I want to tell you just a few things briefly. I don't want to leave anything out. Some of the things that we're doing that I think you'll find helpful. Government does have a role to play. It's private business that leads the way. Government has a role to play, and most of it is getting out of the way. And also helping people communicate, collaborate, and cooperate. And that's what we've been doing in my administration and others as well. And it works every time. I know, you know, that business is the key to progress and prosperity. Without it, you can have 1 billion government programs, you can have everything else, but if you don't have work for the people to do, nothing else will sustain itself. So knowing that, how do we be sure that we don't lose the competitive advantage that we clearly have in South Carolina. I mean, our assets are terrific. The best technical college system in the United States, great research universities that work together, collaborate, communicate, and cooperate. A great port that's going to 52 feet at low tide, which will be the deepest on the Atlantic coast. It's the most efficient. People say it's the best port, and it has 2 inland ports. One in Greer, as you know, Norfolk Southern Railway, that crosses I-85, and the other goes up as CSX, goes up to Dillon and crosses 95. No other state has got that. No other state has one good inland port. No other state has got a port like our port, and we've got all of that. That's a great thing to have. We also have a right to work attitude and a right to work law. We got great weather. We have all those things. The main things, the businesses that I talk to, leaders that are coming to invest millions or hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, say the main thing is the people. It is the people of South Carolina. You can build a building. You can build a building in a desert. But if you don't have the right people working in your company, doing the job, doing all this connected with having a successful enterprise, then you're not going to go anywhere. And they tell me, they say it this way, they say the 3 reasons we're in South Carolina: the people, the people, the people. In fact, Knox, the chairman of BMW at the 25th anniversary, said South Carolina is a handshake state. When someone in South Carolina gives you their word, they keep it. And I said, well, I thought everybody did that. I said, no, it's not that way. But they do it in South Carolina. Why is that? I think it's from where we came from, a great military tradition that's carried on by the, exemplified by the Civil, great faith tradition. We go all the way back to the beginning. And you put people that have been through all these things, hurricanes, wars, battles, fires, everything. Hurricanes, that's floods, recently a whole lot of flooding. You put those kind of people that have been through that in a paradise where we live, and you get people that are loyal, hardworking, and that's where people want to live. Mark Clark, great general, 4-star, youngest in the history of the country, said, he was later president of Civil, said there's more patriotism per square inch in South Carolina than any place in the world. More patriotism per square inch in South Carolina than any place in the world. What does that mean? Well, patriotism is generally thought of as a military spirit, stand up for your country, but also it translates down to helping your neighbor, being a friend, duty, honor, country, love, and integrity. And that's what the people of South Carolina have, and it is proven every day by businesses in the world which could go anywhere, that are coming to our state. And there's not a better place for them to come to or look at. The executives are going to want to move in, but they go hire the people that live here. And there's no place better than this place, Greenville. Greenville is a great point of pride for everyone in South Carolina. I'm so proud that everywhere I go to be the governor of South Carolina, I got to tell you, I feel like I stand just a couple inches taller just because I can say that. After all, we were one of the original colonies and all that. Those other states came along recently. They haven't done all the things that we've done. And look at us. Look at yourselves. Look at this. So this is what we're working on. Just in the short time I've been in office, I've been able to announce 32,000 new jobs and $9.5 billion in new investment. That is a lot. It's been going up. And you keep doing what you're doing and do more of it, and we'll keep going. This year, we're expecting a $1.8 billion surplus. Usually the state money part of the state budget is about $8 or $9 billion. It's going up, of course. But that's $1.8 billion, more than we thought, without counting the federal fund. So what are we going to do with that money? Well, we have to be sure to prioritize and do the things we need to do, and then give the rest back to the people that earn that money. We gave a little bit back last year. Some of you may have gotten a check. I think it's a $50 check. Don't spend it all at one time. $50 is a lot of money to some people, and that's who we have to keep. We have to keep that in mind. But what I'm calling for is a tax cut of it's $2.2 billion. Our rate is 7%. It gets up to 7% real fast. It's essentially a flat tax. Cut it down to 6%. Over 5 years. If we don't do it this time, when we expected $1.8 billion more than we were budgeting for it at the time, then we'll never have another chance to do it. North Carolina's lowered theirs, Georgia has lowered theirs. If we're going to keep our competitive advantage, we got to lower ours. So we need to cut those taxes. We also, last year we announced an 18% cut in the unemployment tax. This year it's going as 34%, which I think is $69 million. That's good news for the employers. Typically, an employer comes in, they have to pay about $121 per employee. This will take it down to $71. Means a lot to a lot of companies. We will do that. Also, what I'm asking the legislature to do is to have zero income tax on the career retirement income of military, law enforcement, and first responders. That would be something that would help keep those people in our communities, not go somewhere else, and it would attract the kind of people that we want to have in South Carolina. Also, a couple of things you might be interested in. I look at the state as one state. Now, this is a regional thing that we're doing here today. Others have similar things. But the idea of looking at it as a region or as a state is very healthy, because we're all tied in it together. A weakness in one place will hurt you in another place. Just like a weakness in a school system in the rural area it's not bad, it's not good to have a weakness in the school system, and we have some weaknesses, particularly in the rural areas. It's not good to have that. But to have a weakness and not recognize it and not do something about it, that is bad. So what I've urged the legislature to do, and I know you agree with me 100% because I heard you talking about it a few minutes ago, is we have to have the best education system in the whole country. And that means we have to expand our 4K into the poverty areas. We have to raise the teacher pay. We raised it last year. I'm asking for $3,000 across the board for the teachers. We got the money. We can do it. Last year we created a rural school district economic development closing fund. It's the only one in the country. It's got $60 million in it. If there is a company, if there is a business that wants to go to a rural area that is impoverished, and it's got to be impoverished, the school district, if they will go there, and there's no money for the infrastructure, and perhaps the school building needs some work, or maybe a new building, that fund, if they will go there, we will access that fund to fix that infrastructure and fix that school. And incidentally, the Opportunity Zone Act, which is based on census tracts, it had a formula. We were able to pick out 135 of, we have about 1,000 census tracts, I think. But it's 135 of them, and you get a tax incentive if you put a business or you invest some money there. In some places, those two things will overlap. That's going to give a spark that we think to help get economic growth and development out in some of these rural areas. What else are we doing? Some of the things at the other end of the scale. In Charleston, the medical center, as you know, they flood down there. Charleston floods about 60 times a year, just on a regular year. And then when you have hurricanes coming in, that makes it even worse. But the medical district floods. We have days down there when the doctors and the nurses and all of them, they can't get in there to perform surgery and all these other things that you have to schedule a long time in advance. And the Children's Hospital has just opened up down there. It's a beautiful facility, serves the entire state. We have to be sure they can get there. So I'm going to ask the legislature this year, and ladies and gentlemen, last year they gave me 60 of the items I asked for, they gave me. Somebody mentioned that. They usually don't do that, but they did it last year. One of them I want is $10 million for that medical district, so they can, they're big pipes that run under the city. They've been there for years. They're not pipes like ducts. And about 12 feet tall and in diameter. We want to run a new one over under the medical district in order to get the water out of there so those people can get to work, and we can do that. Now, you say, well, that's in Charleston. Well, that affects you. Somebody's going to be going down there for medical help, just like I know that from talking to Phil Hughes and Bo Autry and some others, there's a cultural and art center that we want to go up in Greenville. Well, someone might say, well, that's only for Greenville. No, it's not. That's for the whole state. Anything that happens in any part of the state affects the whole state. And the more healthy, the more vibrant, the more innovative that we can be in any part of the state, just as Darla Moore has done in Lake City. Y'all see what she's done over there. Anything that we can do in any part of the state helps the whole state. So that's why I'm going to ask for $19 million for that. I'll try to be quick. We have 2.6 unemployment, but we have somewhere between 64 and 70,000 jobs looking for people. That's right, not people looking for jobs, but jobs that are there looking for people. Usually it's the other way around. This is all over the country. But Wilbur Ross, Secretary of Commerce, says South Carolina has the best workforce development system of any state in the United States, and we do. And we are relying on our technical colleges to produce the kind of innovation, the kind of collaboration, communication, cooperation with the research universities and with the high schools in order to see that we can get our people trained. One of Dr. Keith Miller with Greenville Tech, that's one of the most innovative places around. If you haven't been in there to see it, take a look at it. Go down to Charleston, look at the new South Carolina Aeronautical Training Center. I went down there. I was wondering how many students were clamoring to get in. We drove in. There was a jet, 2 military helicopters, and a propeller plane in the backyard. They're going to have to put a fence around the place to keep people out of it. That is, we have the strength there with those technical colleges and all that goes along with it. We have training our prisoners, those nonviolent. They're on the way out. We're training them to help them get jobs when they get out. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we have about 900,000 people or something close to that one time or another that are on some kind of welfare. Most of it's Medicaid. Well, I remember Jack Kemp used to tell us the way you spell prosperity or measure is not how many people are on welfare, but how many are off of welfare. Well, they're able-bodied people. We have asked for have passed a executive order, and we're getting the work done in Washington to see that able-bodied people, in order to receive Medicaid or other such benefits, must show that they are working, that they're seeking work, they're being trained, or they're doing community services at least 80 hours a week. We have to turn around the culture of dependence and go towards a culture of work, innovation, and the kind of things that have made this community and others so great. I'm proud to say that in brain power, we're up with any other state with the collaborations of Clemson, USC, South Carolina State, the Citadel, and others. We're in good shape, and what we have to do is keep them strong. On infrastructure, we have a good highway commission. We have a terrific Secretary of Transportation in Christy Hall. And our job, we're studying to be sure that the money is going to the right places, and we have an accountability program that we're implementing, and we're paving the roads, not building the new ones, concentrating, but paving and in some instances widening and fixing the bridges and the roads in South Carolina to try to keep up with this great prosperity that trucks, their cars, if they can't move, then we can't prosper. Education, I mentioned teacher pay. We want to raise it $3,000 this year. We raised it last year. We want to get rid of all the time that's wasted in testing. Last year we got resource officers in many of the schools. It's changed things. We want to get them in the rest of them. Last year we got mental health officers and counselors in some of the schools and available in all of the schools. Also, we want to have the fund that I mentioned about the closing fund, and those are the main things that we want to be doing. In closing, let me say this: we've got opportunity unlike we have seen before. I remember when Greenville, when the Poinsett Hotel was condemned. Some of y'all probably remember that. And there were great people in Greenville before that, and there were strong people, and you had an arts presence. I remember one time in 1910 there were 160 mills in South Carolina. That's where our wealth was. So that's changed. Now we're known as a manufacturing state. But I am confident that if we communicate, collaborate, and work together with the talent that we have in South Carolina, I think it is unsurpassed in any other state. I've been spoken to a lot of audiences in a lot of places, and maybe some of you have. Just to look at the talent and to read of the accomplishments of just this part of our state is really an inspiration. So I would urge you to keep doing what you're doing. Let us know what you need. If there's something that the government can do to help you, we'll do it. And my final request and point is this: to every child that you can speak to, that you can touch, tell them to always be proud of South Carolina. It is the best place on earth to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
Possibilities, the 19 million or so that he's asking for, that our table was excited about. I know a lot of people are excited about that. We thank the governor for being with us. We thank all of the sponsors again for today's event. It couldn't happen without you. And we thank the TATT Top funding partners as well. And I encourage you to watch Carolina's Family at 4 today, when Dean Hebel will be on to celebrate TATT Top on television with a special presentation on there today. So join us on TV. I hope that you will plan on joining us here at Greenville Convention Center on September 23rd, 2020, where we'll be holding the 2020 Upstate Regional Summit. Our keynote speaker will be the best-selling author, Richard Florida, and our topic will be related to his newest book, The New Urban Crisis. Again, sponsorship information will be available on TATT funding. It's right on your table. And now I'd like to introduce you in a way to one of my good friends who will be the next chair of TATT at the Top in 2020. Would Terrence Roberts please come up?
I know we've been here a while and I appreciate it. First of all, let's give Sue a hand for her 2 years of service. Just a quick note, I look forward to working with our team, our board, Dean and his team, and I appreciate everyone in this room. This is upstate South Carolina. We help people, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you. We stand adjourned.